My name is Louis, Louis Bank, and I was born December 26, 1914. The only reason I'm still here is apparently God has still got work for me to do. All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown. Moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, but I can't tell you why. Seasons spinning around again, the years keep rolling by. I've found you 1,000 times, I guess you've done the same. But then we lose each other, it's like a children's game. As I find you here again, a thought runs through my mind. Our love is like a circle, let's go around one more time. It comes 1929, I'm 14 years old, I'm supposed to go to high school. Well, I can't go to high school because I'm making a job, I got a job as a caddy, making 40 cents an hour, and because my dad died, and the banks all closed, and my two brothers lost their jobs. So the only guy that's making any money is 40 cents an hour, and I'm making our house payments and buying groceries. When I came down with appendicitis, see, we had a Christian Scientist doctor, and they don't believe in operations. So anyway, on the critical day, he don't show up. So my mother, she got panicky. She said, called our neighbor, Mrs. Cocklemus was her name, and she said, I got a sick boy. And she says, I'd like to, my doctor didn't show up. Says, would you let me know how to get out? So they finally called her doctor, and I think he was like in Roselle, and we were right there near Bartlett, out in the country. Anyway, so he came there about, in the afternoon sometime, and he says, we have to get this boy to the hospital. He ain't going to make it by morning. He won't be here if we don't operate. So anyway, so that's how it comes. So then it broke on the table. Of course, naturally, when it broke like that, they didn't get in a good clean-up job. Maybe it ain't like they have. Like now, all they do is take a little hole and they go in there and clip it out. Well, anyway, so they took out 12 inches of intestines, and then they put in that Murphy button. And like I said, it took six more weeks to pass. Well, my grandmother, she lived in Aurora, and she used to come up to Elgin to see me in the hospital, because we had the streetcars then. It used to go from Aurora up to Elgin. Anyway, every time she come up, she'd give me 50 cents or $1 or something like that. Well, by the time I got out, I had $30. Since I was a rich kid. Of course, in those days we used to have the Montgomery catalog and the Sears Roebuck catalog. And my brother John, he convinced me that I should buy an accordion.
Oh.
So anyway, I think for $7 or $8 we got an accordion from it. And of course John learned how to play it, I didn't. The biggest job that he had, as far as I was concerned, besides raising his children, one of the biggest jobs he had was to ask, when he said to the doctor, if I lose the farm, I don't care, but you operate my boy. I mean, in other words, as far as I'm concerned, that was one of the big things in his life that he had. Well, now that was when I was 8 years old. So my father, when he was 8 years old, he had to go out and fend for himself because he had three sisters. He had three sisters and two brothers, so he had to make his own living, working on whatever farms or whatever he could do. We never got into much of that because they didn't talk about that, and so I didn't know much about how my father managed. But anyway, So eventually he joined the Army, but in that particular time in history, like in the 1905, 6 and 7, they was waiting for the bomb to drop, Anyway, I don't know. I think that was a good reason for them to decide to come to this country. I mean, I'm glad they did, because I might not be here otherwise. But he got to be equivalent to a captain in the Army. I met a guy that was in the Hungarian Army, and he said that the Hungarian Army, one Hungarian soldier would take on 10 Russians, and that would be an even match. How he became a farmer, he worked in they call it the tank shop, and they did a lot of welding there, and of course the smoke and the dust and stuff like that. Eventually, he was having trouble with his lungs, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you should get a job other than that factory, because all that smoke and stuff. And he says, maybe get something out in the open. Well, that's when they decided to buy the farm. Well, they had a beautiful house, a great big barn. We had a cow. We had a horse and buggy. He'd go to different doctors. So in those days, you'd say, well, why don't you try the Dr. So-and-so? He knows. Well, he went to this last doctor, and the doctor says, you taking all these medicines? He says, that'll kill the average guy. There was a church in Aurora. It was, I'd say it was probably a good 2 miles away from us. And one Sunday he decided that he wants to walk to church, because we didn't have a car. So he walked to church, and it rained on his way to church, and their service was very long, probably 2 hours. Well, so he walked back home, got home Sunday, came down with pneumonia. He died on Friday. After I got home from the operation, I had older brothers, and they helped on the farm, but I couldn't help on the farm. So I helped my mother. She had twins, a boy and a girl, and I would hold one while she nursed the other one. And then that's when I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean house, and I mean, whatever like that, because I helped her. And actually, when my father died, now it come to a point where she was asking for me, which I thought was advice, sometimes. Well, anyway, to show you how religious my folks were, we had a neighbor that was a Lutheran. There was Lutheran people. They had 9 children. We had 10. Well, anyway. She said, Mrs. Bank, she says, if you join our church, they will pay off your mortgage, interest-free. You pay it back whenever, My mother says, no, we can't do that, since we're Catholics, When the banks went busted in 1929, it put the country back so that what we had, work projects, the CCC, Conservation Corps, and the government had to step in and give these people a chance to have something at least to eat. That was tough. It was tough going. One time, my grandma came at Christmas time, and she bought us an orange. So we each got a section of the orange. Well, that was it for Christmas. Those were tough times. Oh sure, we had the Sears catalog and the Montgomery catalog, but most of the time we just used that for the outdoor privy. 40 cents an hour was a lot of money then. I mean, eventually I got a job working in the factory, because I met some of these people at the golf course for 20 cents an hour, because that's all they were paying. Now, people don't realize that hey, well, at that time, 20 cents an hour. Now, the factories didn't have a union. They have an association. Well, they got together and they decided that that's what they're going to pay. We sold the house, we bought the farm for $23,000 and sold it for $16,000. I got to know these nuns, and I used to take them to Starved Rock, and I took them up to Milwaukee, up to Holy in the Hill, and we went all over. In fact, it got to the point where we would stop at different schools, and it got to the point where they said, well, here comes Louie's nuns. I mean, I thought that was wild, but I think they're all gone now. Jeannie didn't smoke or drink, but Jeannie, because of the fact that she was getting a college education, I didn't think that I had any right to date her. So I was trying to fix her up with the fellas, and I lined her up with a couple of guys, but it didn't work out. That Saturday night, I picked her up after work. We went to the Trianon. We went dancing. So the gal I was with, she really ticked us. So we broke up. I bought her a set of golf clubs, and we were out the Big Run. We was playing golf this one day, and that's a hilly golf course. And when we got to the ninth hole, she just laid on the ground and she says, well, this is it. You know, and as far as I was concerned, well, this is it for me too. I wrote her off. Anyway, I got a call from her mother. My mother said, Louie, Eugenia is in a hospital. And she said, I think it'd be kind of nice if you come and visit her. I said, okay. So I used to win box candy at the KC's, and so I took her a box of candy, and that's how we got back together again. Considering marrying my girlfriend, my Eugenia, she says, don't worry. She says, you got more than some these kids have that went to college. So don't let that bother you. I got married, bought a house, and started a machine shop. My brother showed us how to run machines. We started out in my brother's basement.
Oh.
We put some lathes down there and some drill presses, and we were doing war work. This house that I bought it for $3,500. And this guy that owned it, I knew him, but he was a good friend of my brother Joe's. I hear Louie's getting married. He says, I'm going to be moving to the state of Washington. He says, you think he'd like to buy my house? I says, yeah, he'll buy it. So anyway, I got a hold of him, and he said he wanted $3,500 for it. And I says, yeah, okay, I'll buy it. That the factory across the street offered him $5,000 for it. And he said, no, he says, I already promised Louie he could have it for $3,500. Now, he had no paperwork, nothing. I mean, just our word. And that was, we was lucky. The nuns, they've been so good to me. I mean, in fact, this nun that was the superior, Sister Emil Berga, she, when I decided to buy this house, when we first got married, they wanted $800 down payment. Well, hell, I didn't have a dime. And so a relative in Chicago, I think they were spinsters, but they lived there at the Cubs ballpark, and she got a hold of her, and this person, she says, I got a friend of mine that needs $800. So that's how come I got the down payment for my house. And that was another thing, that I pay it back whenever you can, tax-free. So, how lucky can you get? And we had our 10, and I didn't have insurance with any of them. Mm-hmm. And because what happened was, at that time, that'd be 1942, your insurance would be $100 a year, but it wouldn't cover the first baby, you know. So I said, the heck with it all. And because my mother's philosophy was that God never sends us anything and he doesn't give us the wherewith to take care of it. So, and I believe that. And so that actually we had all 10 of them, and I had paid cash for all of them with we had no insurance. And it was interesting that I thought that at one time the insurance guy said that well, you should have insurance, you know, like that. And I said, well, I says, what, you know, for the amount of insurance I'd have to have for my family is just ridiculous. So I can't afford that much insurance in the beginning. The little nun come in and she wanted to know how I was going to pay for the baby because I didn't have insurance. So I said, well, I says, I'll tell you what, sister. I says, my mother told me that God never sends us anything that he doesn't give us the wherewith to take care of it. And I says, what do you say we leave it up to him? So of course, she made a about face. And, you know, that was something, you know, you think that was kind of rude in a way, but I thought, well, hey, why didn't she look at the records? I mean, she could have seen that the hell I paid for the last one. Why wouldn't I pay for this one? I had some different philosophies. One of my philosophy was that I'm going to send them to a Catholic school so they get a good Catholic education. And my other philosophy was, well, I also told them, I says, I'll help you as much as I can. If I can't help you, you'll have to try to figure it out on your own. I mean, says, hey, if I have the money, fine. If I don't have the money, then that's your problem, not mine. But anyway, so actually that worked out real good because most of them got in college. I mean, you know, I'd like to have all my children take music lessons because I felt that if you're shy and withdrawn, you take an instrument, you become the center of attraction. I mean, that would bring you out of your doldrums so that you're not going to be sitting in the back of the row. Anyway, so 9 of them took lessons. And the one I thought that would probably be more interested didn't take him, but he was very interested in music. But like I say, you always have one that's going to be different, you know. So that's par for the course. Well, she was a real good mother. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she was easygoing, and actually, oh sure, she got him. We got the first year we had one, and then less than a year she had the next one. One was born on the 27th, the other one on the 19th of the same month. So, well, we had the Irish twins. So we had 5 of them natural birth. And then he wanted to come out in a breech position. So that's how come. That was very critical. I mean, we was really concerned. So that was her first cesarean. And then she had 4 more. Mm-hmm. So she had 5 cesareans. And the doctor finally said, "Hey, that's it. We're gonna have to take away your equipment. No more baby, no more babies." I'm really wondering what's going to happen now because we're getting to the position where how long is the government going to be able to underwrite all the money that they're putting in the economy like this? I mean, because how long is China going to say, "Hey, we want a couple $1 billion back," you know, and they say, "Well, we don't have it." I won't get to see it. But something's going to have to happen that's pretty drastic. And on the other hand, we were talking about that with the investment thing. It says, well, the real estate's picking up, you know, and businesses are picking up. That he was in Spain, Portugal, Morocco, and Greece, and he went to these countries, and he was saying, he says, our country comparison is in very good shape. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as the way things are in some of those countries, he says, is he looks bad. Well, it's this. I mean, God gave you certain talents. He gave me certain talents. I mean, some of us can be lawyers, some of us can be doctors, but he also gave us responsibilities. And those responsibilities are how we treat other people and dealing with people. How much respect do we have? How much are we concerned about the welfare of other people? I feel a certain responsibility. I mean, to help other people. If you think you're in charge, don't kid yourself, because God gives you certain responsibility, and He's guiding your life. But if you pray on it, now, like for instance, a good example is at home. I was still at home, and I couldn't sleep on my side or my back, but either side, So I go to the doctor. Well, that's what you do. So I go to the doctor, and he took an X-ray. Then he tells me, he says, "You got a bad, something bad wrong in your back, And then I said, "Oh, so what do we do?" He says, "Well, nothing." I said, "Oh boy, that's a hell of a note." So what I did, I went home and I sat my chair and I sat in the dining room and I prayed. So I prayed. I says, "I'm not looking for a miracle. All I'm looking for is guidance." And so I sit there a little while like that and I said, "Well, hey, why don't you try the backswing? It's right in the next room." I got on this backswing. I go up once, twice, 3 times. My back's okay. It's been ever since. When people told me that you should write a book, I says, when people told me that, I said, okay, so I decided I'm going to write a book. So every day I would wake up at maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Something would come into my mind. Well, I'd come out to the kitchen here and write down. I felt that the Holy Spirit was telling me what to do. If you were baptized, as far as I'm concerned, the Holy Spirit was implanted in you. That's where we get our inspiration. People don't realize it. You got inspiration. There's an inspiration in all of us to do right, and there's also an inspiration, a different kind of inspiration would tell us to do wrong, because we're all tempted to do certain things. Especially when kids are growing up, they want to try this or try that. You're baptized, and God is planted in you, and He will stay there, and you can. Well, you've probably heard it before. Hey, all you have to do is knock, and the door will be open, and the Holy Spirit is there to listen. As far as my philosophy, I don't worry about a thing, because what happens is that if you worry about something and you don't even do anything about it, and then the day comes and everything's all cleared up, you say, what was I worried about? And that's what life is all about. All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown. Moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, but I can't tell you why. Seasons spinning around again, the years keep rolling by. I've found you 1,000 times, I guess you've done the same. But then we lose each other, it's like a children's game. As I find you here again, a thought runs through my mind. Our love is like a circle, let's go around one more time.
Louie, you inspire me, you make me want to live a better life, and you help me believe in God.